share the gospel at all times, and if necessary, use words. I didn't want to say. I kind of have a love-hate relationship with that quote.
I was reading an article that kind of had a hate relationship with it, and I'm like, I'm not a buyer of the hate on it.
Well, it's just I do think that there is there's a proclamation that's required. There's a saying it out loud. Just as faith kicks off in our heart by confessing. Mm-hmm. So there is a saying it out loud. And the fear of that quote at times is people say, I'm a silent witness. And I don't think you can be. Mm-hmm. You have to stand up in the court of culture and testify to who Jesus is and what he's done in your life. At some point, you have to say it out loud.
Totally. And I would...
If you're just pointing, then you're just a snitch.
I would say
what a dumb metaphor.
That's why I kept moving on.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. No. A lot of respect and honor to the Dr. Brian Jenkins.
Okay. No, you don't agree with that?
No, I do. No, I agree. I totally agree with.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
What I was gonna say was, just as the gospel message can be co-opted, the intent of that quote can be co-opted.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the intent is not to downplay the proclamation. At least I don't think it is. I think it's meant to upplay the don't simply proclamate with
just don't simply
proclaim with the absence of actions.
Deeds, like we had this in one of the towns I lived in, we had this street preacher that would come down to the square all the time, and he would preach the gospel as he saw it, but he's just not a nice guy, in his doing of it. So he was proclaiming, but he wasn't bearing witness, I guess, in that one. I wondered too, did we miss anything? I wondered too if we were ever going to get into because not in the conversations about how big should a church be, mega church versus small church or home church or local church or, So I caught you right in mid-grape, my bad. So I just think that's an interesting conversation because obviously we're a part of what would be considered a mega church. And so I think there are people, very well-meaning people, that would say that we're not actually being the church.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I don't like that idea.
Yeah.
Specifically because I feel like
By the way, I also think there are people in mega churches who would look at smaller home churches or smaller local churches and say they're not being the church either.
Insignificant.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Both again, just missing the mark there, because we see in the very earliest expression of the church that 3,000 were saved, and hundreds or thousands were being added daily. Yeah. And so it was a very mega church at the. I think people's, if I can speak for the people's, real quickly, I think people's.
You're the people's champion.
Yeah, apparently. I think people's rub against mega churches is one, it being so big that they don't feel seen, right? And you want to feel seen in a community, right? You want to feel as if you have a connection with the people around you, and if you get kind of lost in the thing, also, if it's big, then it can have some sort of power or wealth associated with that, and that a lot of times gets demonized as well. And so, I think the bigness of a thing isn't bad. It can become bad, and I empathize with the way that's wielded against the mission of the church. Mm-hmm. But that doesn't mean we then therefore abandon the idea of Sunday gatherings in person. Mm-hmm. Because meeting in my living room with my friends is therefore this is the right way to do it. Mm-hmm. It's a way. And it's a great way. And a lot of churches start there, mm-hmm. right? And maybe they stay there, and that's the extent of what it is. Being a youth pastor for 17 years, I can find reasons why that kind of church doesn't help meeting that demographic.
The whole family's needs.
Yeah, the whole family's needs, not just the adults. Mm-hmm. But then you have children and teenagers, which they're looking for something. They're looking for a community to themselves, mm-hmm. as well.